Runners, it's this easy. Your repeated actions become your habits, and your repeated habits become you, good and bad. And the incredible news is you can form new habits whenever you want. You just have to know how. So as a runner and a habit enthusiast, although I don't think that's a thing, here are the 10 habits I think runners should have, but probably don't. And we are so close to 100,000 subscribers. Maybe we'll get there before my birthday. It's looking tight. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider it. Tap the button. Get us over the line. Now, this first habit blew my mind, and it fundamentally changed the way that I look at exercise, both for myself and the people that I coach. And it's all to do with creating the space for exercise in your life rather than creating the habit of exercise itself. And by the way, I read about this in the amazing book Atomic Habits. I'll give you the quick version, but rather than thinking about, oh, I need to create the habit of running, it's all about creating the space for exercise. Whether you do it or not, maybe comes down the line. And what do I mean by that? Well, in the early days, maybe like this is the victory. Or like, hang on, maybe this is the victory. Like standing at the front door, I'm at my front door right now, ready to exercise and changed. Whether I actually go out or not in the early days, that's not the victory. I've created space in my life to exercise if I want to. And yet, 9 times out of 10, maybe even 9.9 times out of 10, I'm going out these doors and I'm exercising. But that's not the victory. I don't have to do that. This is the victory, and if I'm really not feeling it on that day, I'm off. I've created the space for it. I go again the next time. And the more you do this, the more you create this habit, the more you're going to be able to build that time in to eventually go running, maybe for 5 minutes first, 10 minutes. But this is the victory. I'm changed, I'm at the front door. Job done. And that is a really fundamental change to my thinking about my running habit and how I get myself out the door. This is the win. I've already won. This one is going to sound so ridiculously simple, but the simple habit of double knotting your trainers could be the difference between a few places or a few seconds in a race. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but honestly, I've been racing like 10Ks, and that feeling when your trainer just starts to come loose as you're running and you're like, oh, I know what's coming now. I think I've even got footage of it happening to me in a race.
Shoelace undone. Schoolboy error.
And it might sound like just a small, simple habit, but it's those type of simple cornerstone habits that you build everything else around. If I'm double knotting my trainers, they're not coming undone while I'm running, I'm not having to stop, I'm not losing time in a race. Everything else, a little bit more control.
One habit that's really important to practice with your running is gratitude. We can all get bogged down with feeling like we haven't got the motivation or our training is a hassle. Regularly practicing gratitude, being grateful for getting out there, doing this, seeing the world, moving our bodies, getting to exercise and be healthy. Obviously stop the watch, is all really important, because as with anything in life, we can get bogged down with feeling like things are hard work, things are time consuming or difficult to fit in. But if you're injury free and you're healthy and you're able to get out running, be grateful for it. Earlier this year, I was injured and couldn't run at all. And when I'm finding it hard now, I think back to that time and how desperate I was to run and really try and hold on to the fact that I can now run pain-free, and that's amazing.
Irrespective of the country that you live in, if you train, then you need to keep yourself hydrated at all times. A good habit I like to have is to have my own water bottle, and I set myself hydration targets throughout the day. And you can drink water or use electrolyte tablets. I tend to have one electrolyte tablet first, and then I go one water.
One down. It's 1 o'clock, so perfect. That's probably got to try and get one more of these down before I leave work at about 4:30. Wish me luck. I don't actually know how much this. I think this is about 1.5 litres. Not sure though.
The thing is, dehydration can definitely affect exercise performance, but you have to have set the conditions to make constant drinking easy and not a hassle. One thing that we're just both starting to learn is to listen to our bodies. Like, hear the signals, heed the signals, and adapt to the training. So this is a Wednesday night session. We had the option of Mary going out for a run outside in the heat or hitting the treadmill. And for me, I know now from the last 2 training blocks, if I really overcook it with my legs, they cannot cope. I'm a triathlete at heart, so instead of a run on a Wednesday, I bike on a Wednesday. And as a bonus, we get to train kind of together but doing different things, right?
Yeah.
And you know, doing it this way, listening to my body just makes me feel that little bit more confident that I'm gonna get to the start line pain-free and in the best shape I could be, because I'm still doing great work here, still on the bike for an hour, just not running. So I think it's a constantly evolving process, but one I'm fully committed to, like finding out how my body works, making sure I don't tip it over the edge, and getting to the start line in the best possible physical and mental shape that I can be. Now, whether you have an absurd amount of running shoes or not is actually irrelevant. I mean, that is an absurd amount, but come on, there's 2 of us and we are running YouTubers. But a good habit to get into would be to track the mileage on each of your pairs of trainers. And I'm gonna just be really honest right now. I'm terrible at this, I'm still trying to build this habit. But whether you have 1 pair of shoes or you've got 40 pairs of shoes, the fact is, if you know how much volume you've put through these shoes, then you know roughly what their shelf life is, as in, when do you need to buy a new pair? Because over time, the cushioning deteriorates, the shoes can absorb less impact, and then it puts more pressure on your muscles and joints. So it's good to know how much mileage you put through so that you can upgrade. And most apps now, like Strava, they have that function where you can actually note down the shoes that you wore. Check these bad boys out. My new Alpha Flies, and I know they've only done 10 kilometers. I haven't noted it down, I just know I've only run once in these, but these are my Chicago Marathon shoes, so I'm keeping a track, making sure that these are as fresh as possible come race day. Ultimately, it's just about keeping myself healthy and fit and able to run, and I don't want to be running on old trainers that maybe aren't absorbing as much impact. So it's just a good habit to get into. Good luck, buddy. One habit you definitely have to build into your routines is the habit of making sure that you get a warm-up done, particularly on spicier sessions. I mean, we are just about to do a lactate threshold 800 meter repeat session, and you know, let's just be fair to ourselves, we're getting old, getting on in years. And these are the things that make the session happen, but they keep us safe. So it's very dependent on the type of session you've got. If it's like a long run or an easy base run, doesn't need to be a really excessive warm-up. If you've got a session like we've got today, we really need to take care of our bodies and get them ready, because 10 times 800 meters is not fun. Here's the way we look at a good warm-up now. A good warm-up leads to a good high-quality session, and a bad warm-up or no warm-up, session quality might be low, or even worse, injury and the next session doesn't happen. That's how you have to look at it. So you've got to build that habit in, even if it's just a really short 5-minute warm-up. All right, this habit's a twofer, because the habit is going to be recording your runs, but we're going to split it into before and after and why it's important. Let's talk about before. Getting into the habit in the early days of writing down the runs before you do them is actually called an implementation intention. And that's important because usually when you've written something down, the where, the how, the what, all of that, you're committing to it. It makes it 90% more likely you're actually going to achieve that run. That's part 1. So then just by habitually writing down the run before you do it, it's going to make you much more likely to do it. But then you've still got to think about recording your runs after for a different reason. So let's say you come back from your run and you record your run. All of your data from all of your runs is stored in a particular place. Now that's important because all historical data and having it means that you can look at your data over a long period of time and you can track progress. You can actually see the progress you've made over a number of years. I've got data going all the way back to 2013 on one app. And that's great because in the short term, I can compare, say, the 800 meter session that I did last week with the one that I did 4 weeks ago, and the difference, and by the way, there was a difference in only 4 weeks of training, but also, check this out, I can go back, these are my stats for like, hang on, 11 years. This was when I started hardcore training and recording it, and this is where I'm at now, my monthly volume. That's mad. And I can like visibly see improvements by recording my data. I can see that my heart rate has gone from 165 in 2013, yearly average, now down to 140. My mileage has gone way up. So it's really, really encouraging and it helps keep me in the game. Look at this, I love it. Very, very similar to factoring time in before your runs for an adequate warm-up is factoring in time after your runs to make sure that you've cooled down, done stretch work or mobility work properly. And it doesn't have to be long. I just think it's good practice to get into that routine of doing something when you've finished your run that is just gonna help your muscles recover. Whether that is a static stretch or whether it's more of a mobility routine, that bit doesn't matter. It's more that you don't just do running to improve your running. So like with the warm up before, I like to do 10 minutes, 15 minutes and the same at the end, factor it in as habit, and then I'm just making sure I feel like a runner all the way around rather than just when I'm running. So if your run is 45 minutes, maybe factor in the total of 1 hour 5 minutes, so you've got 10 minutes for a warm-up, 10 minutes for a cool down. Longer if you've got it, but that should be the minimum, so you should be thinking in terms of whole session, not just a run. I need 1 hour and 5, not 45. Remember, you are a sum. This is how we look at it. You are a sum of your habits. So how you do anything is how you do everything. We treat everything as properly as we possibly can when it comes to our running, so we can just stay running. I want to tell you about revenge bedtime procrastination, because this is an actual documented thing. Some people, they get home from work, maybe late, maybe they've worked a really hard day, and they don't want to go to bed because they want to try and reclaim some part of their day for themselves, some me time, revenge part. Revenge on this inanimate thing like a day is what they're aiming for, because that's taken most of their me time, they want it back. But the problem is, that doesn't get anyone anywhere, especially if you're training hard and running. The habit I want to give you, the last one, is good quality sleep. I don't know why I counted that out. So everything health, everything quality of life is underpinned by good quality sleep. So the only person you're costing when you get the revenge bedtime procrastination is yourself, and it's probably a pretty serious downward spiral. So for me, the aim should be simple. Sleep enough so that you don't feel tired the next day. And if you're waking up still feeling tired, you need to go to bed earlier the next day so that this doesn't keep happening. It's good quality habits like this that are going to keep you training consistently and feeling good about it. And can I be honest? Sleep is my me time. That is the time I reclaim my day back. I actually love it, and so I'm okay with going to bed earlier and losing some of my evening because I know I'm going to feel better for it the next day. Hopefully this video has convinced you that this is the channel that's going to help take your running to the next level. If it is, consider subscribing, but no hard sell. But I think you're definitely going to like this video, which was the 10 things that runners should know, but probably don't. And I'll see you Sunday.